Today on Monson Made This, we are cleaning out the cupboards. Lately, I've been trying to be a little bit more resourceful and trying to use more of what I already have instead of going out and buying brand new things. So this week's recipe is all about using what I found in my cupboard. So I'm gonna be making an air-fried artichoke heart, and I'm gonna be breading those with a chickpea flour, which I'm almost out of, which I'll actually be making again from scratch using whole dried chickpeas. And I had some pita breads that I've dried out in the oven, and these are gonna be my breading. So we're gonna air fry some artichoke hearts, and then I'm gonna scrounge through my fridge and find something to make a nice sauce dip out of. So stick around and I'll show you what I'm doing, and hopefully it tastes delicious in the end. So these pita breads, I've already dried them out. I put them in the oven at about 300 for probably about 30 minutes, moving them around a little bit. And I just wanted to dry them out, if you can hear how crispy they are, so that they turn into nice crumbs. These were on their way out. They were getting a little bit stale, so I figured these would be perfect to make breadcrumbs out of. Even though I do have breadcrumbs in my cupboard, I decided to use these up. My experiment's already hit a bit of a hang up. I'm getting a lot of really fine, powdery crumbs and still have a few big crumbs. So I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer, but if it doesn't seem to get rid of those big chunks, I think I'm just gonna sift it out. So I don't want just powder, I want a little bit of texture. So let's continue. So it didn't necessarily get all of the big chunks, but that's okay. It'll give a little bit of texture, I think, to the breaded artichoke hearts. So I'm just gonna set this aside for a minute, and then I'm going to create a batter for these. All right, so I have this jar of artichoke hearts, and it is in a marinade. And instead of just getting rid of this marinade, I'm actually going to be using this marinade to create the batter that I'm going to bread them with. So I'm just going to dump the brine into a bowl and see about how much I have, because I'm going to need an equal amount of chickpea flour. Clean up a bit here. So it looks like it's about between 1/2 and 3/4 of a cup. So again, I'm just gonna eyeball about that same amount of the chickpea flour. And I'm using chickpea flour if you watched any of my other air fryer videos. It's just a really nice binder. It does a really great job of emulating an egg type of texture, so that's why I'm using it here. It's also gluten-free if you care about that, and if you use something other than the pita bread, you could probably make this entirely gluten-free. So I'm just going to be mixing this up here together. And I do want it to be a little bit thick, because I know that those artichoke hearts are carrying a little bit more liquid still inside there, so as soon as the artichoke hearts hits this batter, I don't want it to turn too liquidy, so I'm okay with it being a little bit thick. And then I'm just going to dump the artichokes in there. And stir to coat. The more time I looked at these breadcrumbs, I feel they're just still too big, not gonna work. So I'm gonna try to maybe just do it in a smaller batch. So I'm gonna add just about 1/2 of this back into the food processor and see if I can't get it to a finer texture. I let it go for a bit longer, and the texture is definitely better than it was. I think the reason is that there was still a little bit of moisture left in my pita bread, even though I let it dry out and I thought it was pretty cooked, but a little bit of moisture kind of keeps it from powdering up. So that looks pretty good. I can definitely use this. So let me get my artichoke hearts and we'll start to bread these up. And I'm using chopsticks here to put the artichoke hearts into the breading and to help move them around. It'll just keep my fingers from getting too messy and sticky. Also, you could probably season up your breadcrumbs or your pita crumbs any way that you'd like. I'm keeping things a little bit plain today, trying to watch my salt intake a bit. So I haven't seasoned these up at all. There's enough seasoning, I feel, in the pita bread already to kind of carry this. So just gonna do these in a couple batches, get them nice and coated. I actually kind of like the way that these the little chunks of pita are appearing in this. Gives it a bit of texture, and it kind of makes it look a lot like fried chicken strips. So I'm in love with this so far. That didn't make any sense. I said I'm in love with this so far. There's going to be probably a few leaves straggling around. I've tried as best as I could to make sure that I can keep these intact, but of course it's not gonna all fully stay that way. So I'll just try to get as many big chunks out as I can, and then maybe I'll make some type of little fritter thing if there's any extra leaves that I can't just take out in one big chunk. I'm just going to be placing these into my air fryer. I have a Breville Smart Oven Air that I'm going to be using. Pretty much any air fryer will work for these. We're just trying to get the chickpea flour nice and crispy, as well as the pita chips. Now, while we are setting up the shop, Ben and I had a bit of a discussion about the flavor, me talking about how I wasn't going to really salt them. He's concerned about that, so I think I might be doing these two ways. I'll be making a sauce, but I think I might try to do maybe a buffalo style and see if I can't add some sauce to the exterior of these once they cook. Crisp those up with a buffalo sauce and see if we can't make some artichoke heart buffalo wings. So once I get all these set up here, this last chunk is the fritter that I made with the remainder of the leaves that were floating around. So I'm gonna put these in the air fryer. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. The air fryer is at about 400 degrees. So I'll keep an eye on them, turn them over if I need to, and then I'll see you back when they're brown. The artichoke hearts are pretty acidic with the brine that they're in, so I decided to make a sauce using what I have in my kitchen. Basically, I decided to make a roasted red pepper sauce. Let's call it a roasted red pepper aioli. It's mayo based. I'm going to be using veganaise, some roasted red peppers, and then I'm going to spice it up with some of this yellowbird habanero. So I'm just going to dump these into the magic bullet, blend them up, and there's my roasted red pepper aioli. So let's do that. So I'm going to add, I don't know, a couple of these roasted red peppers in here. Looks like a pretty good amount. Probably go for about a half cup of veganaise. Looks pretty good. And then a nice healthy squirt of this habanero sauce. This stuff is really spicy. I do recommend it if you like spicy foods. So I think that's a good amount there. Let's blend it up. All right, looks pretty. This color is great. Let's see, it's on the thinner side. That's okay. Give it a little taste. That's really nice. So, nice kick too. All right, so I'm just gonna set this aside, wait for my artichoke, I don't know why I forgot the name, artichoke hearts to finish. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try to make a buffalo sauce really quick also, since I'm here and I do have the stuff in my fridge. So let me grab those ingredients and I'll be right back. All right, buffalo sauce, really easy, just 2 ingredients. I have some Miyoko's vegan butter here, and I'm just gonna take probably about 2 tablespoons of that, put it into a bowl that I'm going to microwave. And then you want, I don't know, probably a little more than equal amounts. I would say 1 part butter to maybe 1 1/4 parts of Frank's Red Hot. So I'm gonna just pop this in the microwave for about 30 seconds or so, just until the butter melts. And that's pretty much the sauce, so. All right, so these are done, nice and brown. I'm gonna take half of them off, put them on the plate to serve with the roasted red pepper aioli, and then I'm going to toss the other half in with that buffalo sauce that I made, so. Just plate up a few of these. Jumbo fritter. All right, so the rest of these I'm going to toss in with that buffalo sauce. So let me replace this, bring this out. So again, this is just pretty much Frank's Red Hot, Miyoko's vegan butter. Microwave for 30 seconds just to melt the butter. And now I'm gonna toss to coat. Admittedly, the breading didn't love being tossed around in the sauce. I did lose a little bit of it, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna taste great. I'm gonna put it back here in the air fryer for just a couple of minutes, and then it'll be done. These look done, so I'm going to take them out. Now the oil in the Miyoko's vegan butter kind of helps them to brown up and crisp up a little bit too. So I'm just gonna plate these up here. If you can see here, I've made a version of my homemade vegan ranch. The recipe for that is in my Air Fry 101 video, which I'll have linked here as well if you want that. But just kind of quickly threw that together. Some vegan mayo, some almond milk, onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of parsley. Pretty simple. So those are my buffalo artichoke wings, losing their breading still. So, all right, let me clean up this and then we'll do some glamour shots and I'll come back and do a taste test. The inspiration for this video is pretty typical scenario. I'm hungry, or Ben's hungry, we want something to eat, don't really feel like going anywhere, so you go through the cupboards and see what you can throw together out of what you have. So I had a jar of marinated artichoke hearts, a couple of going stale pita breads, and some chickpea flour. So threw them together and I'm pretty impressed with what I have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them a taste. I'm gonna start with the regular ones, the ones without the buffalo sauce. Also, in terms of improvisation, this is just chopped up kale. Felt like this needed a little bit of green, so chopped up some kale. All right, so let's try this artichoke hearts with a roasted red pepper aioli. I'm glad that I didn't really season these because the marinade in the artichoke heart themselves, as well as in the batter, really carries through the dish, and there's a nice bit of spice that comes from that aioli. I really like those. Those are a keeper. These I'm kind of excited for, kind of a last minute addition. Ben was criticizing my not seasoning those, so we decided to do something extra bold and spicy and did a buffalo style. So let's try this. Again, I threw together this ranch dip as well. You don't need chicken, you don't. This tastes just like a buffalo wing. I'm even surprised by the amount of the seasoning that the marinated artichokes have that actually work really well with the buffalo seasoning. It's really good. So I appreciate the suggestion, Ben. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you try these, like them, or get creative in your own kitchen. Experiment with what you have, see what's in the cupboards, make something nice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and check out my other videos as well. Channel's growing really well, so I thank all of you that are already subscribed and following and sharing these videos around. So I will see you next Monday with a brand new recipe video, and I'm gonna be posting some other videos throughout the week, hopefully, so stick around for those. Follow me on Instagram at monsonmadethis. I'm gonna finish eating these. I'll see you next week, or later this week, or sometime. Have a great one.